Who it is, man. It's your boy Pharaoh the God. Always on the job. I got 5 minutes to talk. And as always, it's real talk. Raw. You know it's that time again. To tell a friend. To tell another friend. Share, like, and subscribe. Share, like, and subscribe. Don't hide. We have kind of like took a back seat to, not really to a back seat. I kind of been, having some other things to do. So, kind of like the war report, you know, but also it's been for a reason. I wanted to see how the war report was going to unfold now that Iran was winning. I wanted to see what was going to come out of Trump's mouth. I wanted to know how the world was going to respond. And obviously, the world must know that Israel doesn't have a fight left. And the reason why I say that, everybody might say, well, Pete, why you say that, Pharaoh, this and that. Before we get into that, I would appreciate y'all if you hit that like button. It don't cost you nothing. Support the channel, support your boy, and above all, man, support the movement. Now, we gonna get in to this content here of what's been going on in Israel. Because Israel was looked upon as one of those ones that was supposed to dominate. And their domination is not there. Let's run this content.
Tonight, the unthinkable happened, and the world will never look at Middle Eastern air power the same way again. In the span of a single night, 40 of the most advanced fighter aircraft ever constructed, the F-35 Adir, the crown jewel of Israeli air superiority, each unit worth over $100 million, were destroyed on the ground before a single pilot could reach a cockpit. $4 billion in American-built aerospace technology vaporized in darkness. Not by a peer military with aircraft carriers and satellite constellations, by Iran, by a nation that Washington has spent 5 decades trying to strangle through sanctions, covert operations, and relentless diplomatic pressure. The instrument of destruction was the FATH, 360, a precision ballistic missile system that the Western defense establishment had largely dismissed as a regional nuisance, a short-range weapon, a propaganda piece, something to be intercepted, neutralized, managed. Last night, that dismissal cost Israel its entire forward airstrike capability in a single operational window. Nevatim Air Base, the primary home of Israel's F-35 fleet and the launch point for every major Israeli airstrike across the region, was hit by a coordinated salvo, so precise, so compressed in timeline, and so overwhelming in volume that Iron Dome, David Sling, and every layer of layered defense Israel possessed could not prevent the catastrophe from unfolding. By the time the smoke cleared over the Negev desert, the strategic equation of the Middle East had been permanently rewritten. Israel had entered the night as the dominant air power in the region. It exited the night as a nation without an offensive air force. And Washington, which had guaranteed Israel's qualitative military edge as a cornerstone of American foreign policy for half a century, found itself staring at a gap in its regional architecture that no emergency resupply can fill overnight. Tonight's analysis takes you inside the strike. We will break down the FATH 360's technical architecture and why it defeated every defense system thrown against it. We will examine how Iran planned and executed a simultaneous multi-base assault without triggering early warning until it was too late. We will assess what the loss of 40 F-35s means for Israel's capacity to continue operating across every theater it is currently engaged in. And we will map the geopolitical shockwave now radiating outward from this single night, reaching Washington, Moscow, Beijing, and every Gulf capital simultaneously. The truth of what happened last night is more consequential than anything the mainstream defense media is currently willing to say out loud. Before we go further, if this channel is giving you analysis that cuts deeper than what you're finding anywhere else, hit like, subscribe, and drop your sharpest assessment in the comments. Every engagement keeps this work independent and sharp. 3 questions will anchor tonight's full analysis. First, how did Iran execute a coordinated multiple hardened Israeli air bases simultaneously without triggering an adequate early warning response? Second, what is the FAF 360 actually capable of, and why did the most expensive missile defense architecture in the Middle East fail to stop it? Third, with Israel's F-35 fleet destroyed and its offensive air capacity gutted.
Also, let me know who did you think was going to win in this war? I knew Iran was very, very strong, but yes, they did surprise me. And also, the one question still remains the same. Does Iran have a right to defend itself after being secretly attacked by America and Israel? Does America and Israel get to set the standard of conventional or non-conventional war when they pulled a surprise attack? Does America and does Israel get to stipulate ceasefire pact? What power and what does America and Israel get to stipulate, knowing that they attacked first?
What comes next? And does Washington have any realistic response that doesn't risk igniting a full regional war? The answers are not comfortable, but they are necessary. If you have been following this channel through the escalating sequence of events across the past several weeks, you already understand that what we are witnessing is not a series of isolated military incidents. It is a structured, patient, methodically executed campaign to fundamentally alter the balance of power across the Middle East, and last night represented its most consequential single operation. Subscribe now if you haven't already. Share this analysis with anyone who is serious about understanding what is actually happening. The comment section is open. Tell me what you think the next move looks like from Tehran, from Tel Aviv, and from Washington. The strike, what actually happened at Nevatim and beyond. To understand the full magnitude of last night, you need to understand what Nevatim Air Base actually represents within Israel's military architecture. This is not simply an airfield. Nevatim is the operational heart of Israeli air dominance across the entire region. It houses the majority of Israel's F-35 Ayadir fleet, the most technologically advanced combat aircraft on Earth, equipped with sensor fusion systems, low observable coatings, and networked warfare capabilities that no other air force in the Middle East can match. Every major Israeli airstrike against Iranian assets in Syria over the past several years originated from Nevatim. Every deep strike mission against Hezbollah's precision missile manufacturing infrastructure, every of defended airspace, it all flows through Nevatim. Nevatim's flight line is not merely destroying aircraft, it is destroying Israel's ability to project offensive power across the entire regional chessboard simultaneously. Iran understood this with absolute clarity. The targeting logic behind last night's operation was not random. It was the product of years of intelligence collection, operational planning, and patient preparation for exactly this moment. The strike sequence began at 17 inches the morning local time, a timing choice that was itself a deliberate calculation. Israeli air defense crews were at their lowest alert readiness. The watch rotation had just changed. Processing speed at radar stations and command centers was at its overnight minimum. This is not coincidence. Iranian operational planners selected the launch window based on detailed knowledge of defense cycle patterns, knowledge accumulated through years of electronic collection, drone overflights, and human intelligence networks that Western analysts consistently underestimated.
Now, these were targeted attacks within war. You know, these are attacks where, as he's saying, that a lot of missions was being flown out of. And I'm gonna keep saying it. Remind yourself that Iran was attacked first for no reason. and remind yourself that the American Trump said the reason they're gonna go to war, the reason why he gonna get in it is because they've been yelling death to America for years. So fucking what? It's people inside of America that says fuck America and done nothing happen to them. You should have a freedom of speech. Oh, well, they're stockpiling weapons against us. Nigga, they way over there. Remind yourself that you are being taken for a fool as trying to accept this war. These people attacked first, and then they want to write and stipulate the ceasefire agreement. They want to say, "Hey, we attacked you first, but we want control of that Strait of Hormuz. We attacked you first, but we want to decimate you. If you start decimating us, then that's bad." This is what America and Israel has done. And again, remind yourself that Israel and or America dropped a bomb on an all-girls school in Iran. Remind yourself that the United States president put the blame on somebody else. Just remind yourself.
The opening phase of the assault involved a wave of decoy UAVs, small, low observable platforms that flooded the radar environment with targets simultaneously. Israeli air defense radar networks were suddenly processing hundreds of incoming signatures from multiple approach vectors. The computer systems managing Iron Dome battery allocation and David's sling intercept assignment were thrown into a prioritization overload that military systems engineers call saturation paralysis. Every battery in the network began cycling through target assignment sequences faster than its reload capacity could support. This is the trap. While every available interceptor in northern and central Israel was being committed to the decoy wave, the prt15 salvos were already airborne from launch positions in western Iran and from mobile platforms pre-positioned through Iraqi territory, locations that Israeli early warning arrays were not adequately oriented to cover at the angles of approach that were used. The prt15 missiles arrived in groups of 8 to 12, targeted against specific hardened shelters within the Nevatim complex. The timing compression between the first impact and the last was under 4 minutes. In 4 minutes, Israel had no realistic path to an effective, coordinated response. The base's internal alert system was still processing the initial warning when the second and third salvos were already in terminal descent. Simultaneously, and this is the element that most shocked IDF command, a parallel strike package hit Ramon Air Base in the southern Negev, where Israel had pre-positioned a reserve contingent of F-35S and conventional F-16-1 aircraft as a dispersal measure following earlier escalation warnings. The fact that Iran knew about this dispersal, knew the precise locations within Ramon where the aircraft had been relocated, represents an intelligence penetration of Israeli operational security at a depth that has not been publicly acknowledged by any official Israeli source.
Now, remind you what I said, that the war between Iran and Israel is so deep that the Israelis and the Iranians, that they look so much alike to where one can grow his beard and says that he's a Muslim, and one can just cut his hair and his beard and says he's a Jew. And this is the subterfuge that they feed on, that they are able to pull the chameleon disappearing at. So this information of how they knew where certain sites were in in Iran, it's the same thing for Israel. And now Israel sees this, and now Israel is running for cover. Israel, as every bomb and every certain particular compound is bombed, Israel begins to think, how much information does they have? And then they bombed the next thing. And then they next thing. Now Israel is starting to wake up and say, we do have a problem with security. Internal problem. Or have we just not been doing our security and they've been over here doing the same thing that we've been doing over there? But also remind yourself that Iran was tagged first.
But the impact craters tell the story that the press releases do not. By 2:47 inches the morning, 30 minutes after the first launch detection, the operational assessment reaching IDF Air Force headquarters contained numbers that commanders initially refused to believe. 40 aircraft confirmed destroyed or critically damaged, 3 hardened shelter complexes at Nevatim rendered structurally compromised, the primary fuel and munitions storage node at the base hit and burning, Ramon's dispersal area struck with comparable accuracy. Israel's offensive air capability, the instrument upon which every component of its regional strategy depends, had been effectively neutralized in a single half-hour operational window. The magnitude of this achievement cannot be overstated by reference to any previous precedent in Middle Eastern military history. In the 1967 Six-Day War, Israel destroyed the Egyptian, Jordanian, and Syrian air forces in a preemptive strike that lasted approximately 3 hours. Last night, Iran executed the functional equivalent, destroying Israel's most capable aircraft on the ground in 30 minutes with ballistic missiles, from a distance of over 1,000 kilometers, against an adversary that had been on elevated alert for weeks and had every reason to expect a major Iranian military response. The precision demonstrated is itself the most important military datum of the entire engagement. FATH 360 impacts were concentrated within specific shelter bays, not distributed across the general base area. Missiles were not hitting the runway or the perimeter. They were hitting the exact building coordinates where F-35s were parked and maintained. This level of terminal accuracy delivered by a ballistic weapon at range requires targeting data of extraordinary resolution and a guidance system of exceptional capability. Both of those requirements point towards something that Western intelligence has been reluctant to fully acknowledge: the degree to which Iran's precision strike capability has matured over the past 5 years, under conditions of complete economic blockade and technological isolation. The FATH 360, inside the weapon that rewrote the rules. The FATH 360 entered the Western defense analysis community's awareness gradually and without particular alarm. Its stated specifications, a range of approximately 120 kilometers, a solid fuel propulsion system, a reported circular error probable in the single-digit meter range, placed it in the category of short to medium range precision ballistic systems. Analysts noted it with measured interest. It was cataloged, assessed, and largely filed under the heading of a regional tactical system useful for hitting fixed targets within a limited operational radius, but not a strategic game changer in the same category as Iran's longer-range Shahab or Sajil systems. Last night demolished that assessment with the same thoroughness that the missiles themselves demolished Israel's aircraft shelters. What the Western analytical community consistently underweighted was not the FATH 360's range. It was the combination of its terminal guidance architecture, its salvo employment doctrine, and the operational infrastructure Iran had quietly built to deploy it at scale from dispersed and mobile launch platforms across a geography far wider than its nominal range envelope suggested. Let us start with the terminal guidance system, because this is where the FATH 360 separates itself from every previous generation of Iranian ballistic weapons. Conventional ballistic missiles, including earlier Iranian systems, follow a predictable trajectory through most of their flight path. They can be tracked. Their impact point can be calculated with sufficient accuracy to assign an intercept solution within the time window available to a competent defense system. This is the foundational assumption on which every component of Israel's layered missile defense architecture was designed. The FATH 360 invalidates that assumption in its final phase of flight. As the missile descends through the terminal phase, an onboard guidance system combining inertial navigation with an electro-optical terminal seeker and a radar altimeter activates and begins comparing the ground signature beneath the missile against a preloaded digital target model. This is not a system that is simply following GPS coordinates. It is a system that is looking at the ground, identifying specific structures, and steering itself toward a designated point on a specific building with an accuracy that GPS alone cannot achieve. And more critically,
sounds like something that America had. Precise missiles, bunker busters. This is where America and Israel have started. They strangled Iran. This is the way that America and Israel has to deal with. We took out their air, we took out their navy, but yet they continue to bomb. They want to make deals. You wake up the next day, 7 officials from the Israeli side dead. Ben Gurion Airport bombed, decimated. Do this look like something that America can win? Or if America really wants to be involved? Because it's real iffy, but they're involved. And from the looks of things, this is not a war Israel can win. Because like I've always said, take out America and all its capacity of initiating the war and helping and all that. Take America's part out of the war like it never happened. The bombing's nothing. Where would Israel be now? Where would Israel be now? See, America and Israel has started. Or you can say this is one of the countries that they were telling the truth about. But they ain't been doing nothing to nobody. You trying to block their oil? Stranglehold on them? So now America definitely has to look at something, what's going on. Not just America, but Israel. They both have to ask the question, what is going to be the outcome for this war? And it's not looking too good for them.
an accuracy that GPS jamming cannot degrade because the system is no longer dependent on GPS in its final guidance phase. This terminal seeker architecture explains two things simultaneously. It explains the extraordinary accuracy of last night's strikes impacts clustered within specific shelter bays rather than distributed across the base. And it explains why American GPS jamming operations, which had been running continuously across the region for weeks, produced no meaningful degradation in Iranian strike accuracy. The propulsion system compounds the defense challenge. Solid fuel propellant means the prt15 requires no liquid fueling sequence before launch. A mobile launcher can arrive at a pre-surveyed firing position, erect, and launch within minutes. The launch signature, the thermal bloom that satellites and airborne surveillance systems use to detect missile launches, exists for a fraction of the time that liquid fuel systems require. The warning timeline compresses dramatically. Now layer on top of this the salvo employment doctrine that Iran developed and refined specifically to exploit the reload limitations of Israel's point defense batteries. A single prt15 fired against a defended target can be intercepted. The intercept probability is not zero. Iron Dome and David Sling are genuine engineering achievements and should not be dismissed. But Iran was not firing single missiles at defended targets. Iran was firing salvos of 8 to 12 missiles against each designated aim point, with the salvo compressed into a launch window of under 90 seconds from a single battery, and with multiple batteries targeting the same facilities from different approach vectors simultaneously. Against a salvo of 8 missiles arriving from 2 different approach angles within a 30-second window, a point defense battery faces a mathematics problem that has no good solution. It can engage some of the incoming weapons. It cannot engage all of them. And the missiles that the battery does not engage reach their target. Iran's targeting teams calculated the intercept capacity of each Israeli defense battery in the coverage zone, the number of missiles each battery could engage within a specific time window, given its reload cycle, designed their salvo sizes and timing to exceed that capacity by a defined margin. This is not guesswork. This is a careful engineering analysis of the adversary's defense architecture applied to the problem of overwhelming it. The production scale of the prt15 program adds a dimension that deserves separate emphasis. These are not exotic, individually hand-assembled weapons produced in small quantities for prestige demonstrations. Iranian manufacturing facilities operating under full sanctions pressure with zero access to Western components or precision machine tooling from sanctioned suppliers have been producing prt15 systems at a rate that has quietly built a stockpile of meaningful operational depth. The missiles used last night represent a fraction of Iran's available inventory. This is not a one-time capability demonstration. It is a sustainable strike architecture. The self-reliance dimension of this achievement deserves to be stated clearly, because it carries implications that extend far beyond this single conflict. Every component of the prt15 propellant chemistry, guidance, electronics, structural materials, manufacturing tooling was developed and produced entirely within Iran. The sanctions architecture that Washington constructed with the explicit intent of preventing Iran from developing exactly this kind of capability has failed in its core objective. Not partially failed, completely failed. What the sanctions actually produce, the outcome that no one in the Western policy establishment wants to state plainly, is an Iranian defense industrial base that is now more self-sufficient, more resilient, and more capable of absorbing external pressure than it would have been if Iran had been allowed to purchase weapon systems freely on the international market. Isolation forced innovation. Necessity produced engineering solutions that imported systems would never have generated, because purchased systems do not require the buyer to understand them at the level required to build them from first principles. Iran built the prt15 from first principles. That is why it performs the way it performs, and that is why no Western sanction package can eliminate it. The international defense community is now conducting an emergency reassessment of every Iranian ballistic system that has been similarly underestimated. If the prt15's terminal accuracy and salvo doctrine are indicative of the design philosophy applied across Iran's missile inventory, then the threat calculus for every American base, every allied facility, and every naval asset operating within range of Iranian launch platforms needs to be fundamentally revised. That reassessment is...
That scares America. That scares the shit out of America. That scares the shit out of Israel. That scares these people. Why? Because the role has been reversed on them. America had these high-tech missiles, these high-tech detonators, these bunker blasters. We're the only ones in the world of this kind and that can navigate through a tiny hole. I told the Taliban leaders, and I showed them pictures of this house, and he was taking his shit, and I told him, we can get him. We can get him. But now the game changes. As I said, America and Israel are now on the tail side of the coin. They are no longer dominating. And I know people might say, well, you know, America can do this and America could do that. Look at the information coming out of Iran and the missiles that they have. Precise. GPS couldn't even get this. It's like they have a missile drone just flying over the land and looking for this one building. It's like you could take a picture of a building and upload that picture into this missile. And it's like it'll just, from here to wherever that is, it's going to locate it. And now America is scared. What does that mean? That means lives can be lost. While America has been sitting afar in its big, beautiful world, you still have people outside of your world. And you can't get them all on a plane fast enough. Because even if you do now, you have to worry, will the Iranians shoot down the plane full of military personnel? You know they will. So now America and Israel has to readjust itself, because now we built everything on people being scared of us. They can't reach us. They don't even want to create something that can destroy us. They're too scared of us. Look what happens now. Look what happens now. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, man. This is a non-monetized page, nor will it ever be monetized because of the political views I have and the outstanding views I have on certain things and about certain cultures. Wouldn't be LA without the sirens in the background. Please, again, please, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, man. It don't cost you nothing. Let's run this content.
Happening right now in classified spaces in Washington, London, and Tel Aviv. The conclusions being reached are not comfortable. Washington's response: paralysis behind the podium. Within hours of the Nevatim strikes, the White House Situation Room was operating at maximum density. The National Security Council convened an emergency session. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs was on secure video link with CENTCOM headquarters in Qatar. The Secretary of State was working the phones to every Gulf partner simultaneously. And from all of that frantic activity, what emerged in the public space was a statement expressing deep concern, reaffirming America's commitment to Israel's security, and calling on all parties to exercise restraint. Restraint. The word landed in Tel Aviv like a second strike. To understand the depth of Washington's paralysis in this moment, you need to understand the operational problem that the FATH 360 strike has created for American military planners, not just politically, but in pure military terms. The standard American response playbook to a major Iranian escalation involves a sequence of steps. First, demonstrate overwhelming air power presence through carrier strike group positioning and bomber deployments to the region. Second, present Iran with a credible threat of devastating retaliation against its own military infrastructure. Third, use that threat to compel de-escalation through diplomatic back channels. Fourth, if diplomacy fails, execute precision strikes against Iranian military assets that degrade capability without triggering a full regional war. Every step in that playbook now faces a complication that did not exist 48 hours ago. Step 1, demonstrating air power presence requires moving carrier strike groups into operational range. But the repositioning of American carriers away from the Gulf of Oman in recent days, following the demonstration of Iranian anti-ship missile capability, means that the nearest American carrier aviation is currently operating from standoff distances that significantly reduce the tempo and volume of strike missions it can generate. Moving carriers back into the Gulf requires accepting a risk level that American Naval Command has just explicitly demonstrated it is not comfortable accepting. Step 2, presenting a credible retaliation threat requires that Iran believes the threat will be executed. But Iran's behavior last night, striking 40 F-35s inside hardened shelters at the most heavily defended air base in the Middle East, reflects a leadership calculation that American retaliation will be constrained by exactly the factors that are now visibly constraining it. Tehran.
And I've told y'all, I told y'all, everybody's, oh, you know, America's the war and, you know, America's kicking their ass. But you fail to see what is actually before you. Every morning, and I say it, every morning, you wake up with 20 dead Iranian officials. Let's say half and half. 10 top secret officials and 10 top officials, right? Every day you wake up and you see this happening in the country. You saying they can't survive. They just can't. And then you wake up again the next day or go to sleep that night to news of how Iran bombing the shit out of Israel. And then you come to see that America's been hiding the number of casualties on the American side. And then no type of information gets out about how Israel is being bombed. But they do know that an old couple did not make it to their bunker. Look at the choice of media is projecting out from Israel. The old people didn't get a chance to get to the room. Well, what about all the children in Gaza? What about all the women in Gaza? What about the school for girls in Iran that was bombed by America and or Israel? What about that? What about that?
Decision to execute last night's strike was itself a statement that they do not believe Washington's retaliation threat will be unlimited. Step 3. Diplomatic back channels require a partner that perceives itself to be in a disadvantageous position and is therefore motivated to negotiate. Iran this morning is not in that position. Iran this morning controls the momentum of the conflict. Step 4, precision strikes against Iranian military assets runs directly into the question that American planners have been unable to answer cleanly for years. What do you hit? Iran's missile forces are dispersed across mobile platforms and hardened underground facilities distributed across a vast national territory. A precision strike campaign against Iranian missile infrastructure would need to be massive in scale and sustained in duration to achieve meaningful degradation. Massive and sustained means escalation. Escalation means Iran activates the full spectrum of its regional network, Hezbollah, Houthi forces, Iraqi militia groups simultaneously. And that means a regional war of a scale and complexity that American military planners, running their models honestly, cannot guarantee a favorable outcome within an acceptable cost envelope. This is the genuine source of Washington's paralysis. It is not political weakness. It is the recognition that the military options available have costs attached to them that no administration can absorb without consequence. The emergency resupply question compounds the problem. Israel has lost 40 F-35S. The United States Air Force's total F-35A inventory globally is approximately 450 aircraft. Transferring replacement aircraft to Israel at the speed the situation demands would require pulling from active operational squadrons, reducing American air combat capability in other theaters simultaneously. The production rate of new F-35S, while the fastest in the program's history, cannot fill a 40 aircraft gap in anything less than several years of normal delivery scheduling. There is also a question that no one in official Washington is willing to ask publicly, but every defense analyst is asking privately. If Nevatim can be struck with this accuracy and this density, what does that imply about the vulnerability of American air bases in the region? Al Udeid in Qatar, Al Dhafra in the UAE, Incirlik in Turkey. These are not hardened facilities built to absorb the kind of concentrated precision ballistic strike that Iran executed last night. They are conventional air bases operating in the open with known coordinates against an adversary that has just demonstrated it can hit a specific aircraft shelter bay at a range of over 1,000 kilometers. The silence from the Pentagon on this question is itself an answer. Gulf states are watching Washington's response with extraordinary attention. Every Gulf monarchy that has built its security architecture on the assumption of American military primacy is conducting an emergency reassessment. Saudi Arabia, which has been pursuing its own quiet diplomatic channel to Tehran, is reading last night's events as confirmation that the accommodation track deserves acceleration. The UAE, which hosts American military facilities, is calculating the degree to which hosting those facilities now makes its own territory a potential target in a way that it was not previously. The geopolitical ground is shifting beneath American regional policy at a speed that the institutional machinery of American foreign policy is not built to match. Israel's existential reckoning, the end of air supremacy. For 75 years, Israeli security doctrine has rested on a foundational pillar: absolute air supremacy, the ability to strike anywhere in the region at any time with precision and impunity. This is not merely a military capability, it is the psychological foundation of Israeli deterrence. It is the guarantee that no adversary, regardless of how many rockets they stockpile, regardless of how many fighters they recruit, can impose a cost on Israel that Israel cannot repay, with overwhelming force delivered from the sky. Last night, that pillar was struck at its base. 40F-35S destroyed represents approximately 60% of Israel's operational eight-year fleet. The aircraft that remain dispersed now to civilian airports and secondary military facilities across the country in a desperate effort to preserve what is left are operating under the constant threat of a follow-on Iranian strike against those dispersal locations. Every hour that passes without a follow-on strike is an hour that Iran is choosing not to strike, which means Iran controls the tempo of what happens next. Israel's ability to dictate the pace of the conflict has been fundamentally disrupted. The immediate operational implications cascade outward in every direction. Gaza operations, which have depended on continuous Israeli air support for their entire duration, are now being conducted with a fraction of the available aircraft. Mission tempo has dropped sharply. The close air support that Israeli ground forces have relied upon as a force multiplier is degraded. Ground commanders who have operated for months with the assurance of overhead air power available on short notice are now operating in a different environment. The northern front with Hezbollah, which had been managed partly through the implicit threat of Israeli airstrikes against Hezbollah leadership and infrastructure in Lebanon, has changed character overnight. Hezbollah's leadership in Beirut understands that the Israeli Air Force is now operating under severe constraint. The deterrent value of Israeli air power against Hezbollah escalation has been substantially reduced. Hezbollah's calculus for its own offensive actions has shifted accordingly. Syria, where Israel had been conducting regular air operations against Iranian weapons transfers to Hezbollah, is now effectively a closed theater for Israeli air activity until the fleet situation is addressed. Those weapons transfers will continue unimpeded. The economic dimension compounds the military damage. Each F-35I Adir costs approximately $100 million at current unit prices. 40 aircraft represents $4 billion in direct hardware loss before accounting for the weapons, fuel, equipment, and support infrastructure destroyed alongside the aircraft in the shelter collapses. Israel's defense budget for an entire year is approximately $24 billion. A $4 billion overnight loss to a single strike represents a financial shock with no modern precedent in Israeli military history. Insurance for military hardware is a concept that simply does not exist at this scale. Every dollar of replacement cost comes from the national budget, from American military aid, or from both. Emergency supplemental aid requests to Congress take time, weeks at minimum, months in contested political environments. In the interim, Israel absorbs the operational deficit. The psychological impact on the Israeli population deserves separate consideration because it operates on a different and deeper level than the material damage. Iron Dome's occasional failures could be absorbed because the overall intercept rate remained high and the framework of Israeli military invincibility remained intact. But 40 F-35S destroyed on the ground at Israel's most important airbase is not a glitch in the system. It is a fundamental breach of the foundational guarantee. The guarantee that Israeli military technology, backed by American military technology, provides a level of security that no regional adversary can penetrate. That guarantee is now visibly conditional. It fails under specific conditions. And Iran has just demonstrated publicly for the entire region and the entire world to observe that it knows exactly what those conditions are and how to create them. The political consequences within Israel are beginning to manifest. Coalition partners are demanding explanations that the cabinet cannot provide, without acknowledging the full scope of the intelligence failure that allowed Iran to plan.
Hey, you're at Snyder says nothing that he is reporting can be verified. He listened to it 6 hours ago. Nothing that reports the dominance or winning of Iran can never be verified, because Iran has laws that you cannot show what's going on. The same type of laws that Israel has. But yet sometimes some shit gets out. But yet we believe that, oh, everything America hits is true. America tells you that they killed all the leaders, and they're crippled, took out their navy, took out their army, air, sea, land. We're gonna make a deal. None of that was ever verified. We just go off of what America says, and that's what's wrong with people. If you want to do your history, these reports are not all fabricated. When you go to people, when you look up in the news and you see certain things, they corroborate, they collaborate. But for you to come on and say, oh, they can't be verified, that's an American for you. That's an American for you.
And execute this strike without triggering an adequate early warning. Response. The opposition is calling for emergency sessions. The public is asking the question that all previous Israeli governments have successfully prevented from becoming the dominant public question. Is the current security framework actually working? Last night's answer, written in burning aircraft shelters across the Negev desert, is not reassuring. The global power shift, a new Middle East is being born. Pull back from the immediate military and political crisis and look at what last night means at the level of the global system. Because the destruction of 40 Israeli F-35s by Iranian ballistic missiles is not simply a Middle Eastern military event. It is a data point in a much larger pattern of transformation that has been accelerating across the past several years, and last night's events may represent the moment that pattern became irreversible. The post-Cold War Middle Eastern order was built on a specific set of assumptions. American military primacy was unchallengeable. Israeli qualitative military edge was guaranteed and permanent. No regional actor, regardless of ideology, regardless of how many weapons it accumulated, could realistically threaten the foundational security architecture that American power underwrote. States that accepted this framework received security guarantees and access to American economic and diplomatic support. States that rejected it faced maximum pressure, sanctions, isolation, covert operations, and the constant implicit threat of military action. Iran rejected this framework. For 45 years, Iran absorbed the maximum pressure that the most powerful nation in human history could generate. And last night, Iran destroyed 60% of the most advanced fighter aircraft ever built at the most heavily defended military installation in the Middle East. The message that transmits to every government in the world, and particularly to every government in the developing world that has been considering its own relationship with American power, is not subtle. The message is, the framework is negotiable, American primacy has limits, and a nation that invests in genuine self-reliance, that builds its own technology, that develops its own strategic depth, can reach a position where it shapes the regional order rather than submitting to one imposed from outside. Russia is reading last night's events carefully from Moscow and with quiet satisfaction. Every hour that American strategic attention and military resources are consumed by the Middle Eastern crisis is an hour that reduces Western capacity to maintain pressure on other fronts.
Israel is going to need help. And they are looking for help immediately. Why? Israel has never been under this type of pressure. Israel has not been terrorized like this before. Israel has always been the vector, or as I like to say, the aggressor. They always put fear into the hearts of their enemies. They've always done this. And now, that same fear that they have plucked into the hearts of their foes is now coming back at them. And this can bring about regime change while they are trying to bring about regime change. They are trying to bring about the change of regime in Iran. America and Israel don't like that regime. And to the person that says it can't be verified, what about the verification that the reports are coming out of Israel is in high protests? And people are calling to the end of this world. The end of this war, I mean. These people have never been brutalized or bullied like this before. Even though they might be a part of the whole Netanyahu gang and the Zionist gang, they are scared because they've never been attacked like this. They never saw they heard about the stories, but they have lived for decades in comfortability. They have. And now they are starting to see what it is to live on the other end of that fear. And what happened on the other end of that fear for so many nations? Regimes failed. Governments toppled. No one's liking this current government of Israel at the moment, the Zionist regime. By them attacking Iran, can that bring to a civil complaint of regime change?
Diversionary value of a sustained Middle Eastern conflict for Russian strategic interests is enormous. Moscow does not need to do anything active. The situation is generating advantages passively. China's reaction from Beijing is more complex and more forward-looking. Beijing sees last night's events as both a near-term opportunity and a long-term validation. The near-term opportunity, as American regional credibility absorbs damage and Gulf states begin diversifying their security relationships, China's economic and diplomatic presence in the region becomes more valuable to more actors simultaneously. The long-term validation, China's own investment in anti-access area denial capabilities, its own precision ballistic missile arsenal, designed to deny American carrier operations in the Western Pacific, has just watched a smaller scale version of its own strategy succeed in a live operational environment. Every lesson Iran learned in executing last night's strike is a lesson that Chinese military analysts are incorporating into their own planning. The Gulf monarchies are undergoing the most urgent reassessment. Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, every state that has based its security architecture on American guarantees is now evaluating those guarantees against the visible evidence of last night. The Saudi-Iranian diplomatic rapprochement, brokered by China and signed in Beijing, looks increasingly prescient in retrospect. The states that have been hedging between the American security umbrella and regional accommodation with Iran are accelerating the hedging. The states that have been fully committed to the American framework are quietly asking whether full commitment remains the rational position. Turkey, a NATO member that has been conducting its own complex multi-directional foreign policy across the past decade, is watching with a strategic interest that cuts across alliance lines. Ankara's relationship with both Washington and Tehran has never been simple. Last night added new complexity. Pakistan, which has long maintained a careful balance between its American security relationship and its proximity to Iran, is recalculating. India, which has major economic interests in Iranian energy and infrastructure, is recalculating. Every nation that has...
Now, for those that don't know what's being said is, America has been telling these countries, don't trip. We got your back against Iran. We're over there pulverizing them. We're killing their leaders. We're knocking them 10, 15, 20 years back in technology. This is what America sold to the other countries. We will protect you. Now these countries in that region are seeing it fall apart. So now America might protect us, but now they have precise missiles. What do you think is next? American bases? American infrastructure? So now all of these countries have to rewrite their plans for that region. Why? Because now Iran can really attack us. And we see with all this war going on, that everything that America's saying and everything that's going out about this war is kind of false. The only thing I can say of this war that is official, like a referee whistle, is the Iranian people that get killed. It's the people that's dying. But as in America saying, we took out their military, we took out their navy, their army. How are we to believe that when Israel is being decimated and pulverized? Now the countries and those that didn't really fuck with Iran and those that hated Iran in the region now have a whole different dinner they have to eat. This costs money, time, strategy, replanning, recompromising certain deals. Because now, hey, look, man, America can get it too. Y'all need to buy this oil. Dope. It's a dope deal.
Calibrated its foreign policy around the assumption of uncontested American primacy in the Middle East is recalculating. This is what a genuine geopolitical inflection point looks like from the inside. It does not announce itself with a single dramatic declaration. It announces itself through 1,000 simultaneous recalculations happening in capitals across the world, each driven by the recognition that the operational assumptions that governed yesterday's decisions no longer apply cleanly to today's environment. The era of uncontested Western military primacy in the Middle East, the era that began with the Gulf War in 1991 and reached its peak with the invasion of Iraq in 2003, has been in slow decline for years. Last night may represent the moment that decline crossed a threshold from gradual to decisive. A new Middle East is being born. Its architecture will not be designed in Washington or imposed through American military superiority. It will be negotiated among regional actors who have demonstrated or are in the process of demonstrating that they possess genuine agency over their own security environments. Iran has earned a seat at the table of that negotiation through capability demonstration, not through diplomatic courtesy. The world that emerges from this transition will be more genuinely multipolar, more complex, less predictable, and in many ways less stable in the short term than the order it replaces. But it will be built on a more honest foundation. The foundation of real power, real capability, and real national self-determination, rather than the managed fiction of permanent American primacy that last night's 40 burning aircraft shelters have now conclusively closed the book on. What happened last night at Nevatim Air Base was not simply a military engagement. It was a historical sentence written in fire across the Negev desert, declaring that the old rules of the Middle Eastern power game have been permanently replaced. Iran's Fath 360 did not...
Like he said, everything is permanently replaced now. Why? Iran has proven itself as a superpower amongst all the blockades, amongst all the tariffs, amongst all the assassinations, amongst all the subterfuge. Iran is that rose that grew from a concrete. Iran is that kid that was bullied before. No, he's not the bully now. He's the defender now. He is the protector. But guess what? They ain't forget everything that was going on before. And this is why people can say this ain't verified information. They don't want people to know that the world is turning. The evil antics of yesterday were decimated late last night, early this morning.
Merely destroy 40 aircraft. It destroyed the assumption of Israeli air invincibility. It destroyed the credibility of American deterrence in its current form. It destroyed the comfortable fiction that technological superiority and alliance backing guarantee security against a determined, self-reliant adversary that has spent decades preparing for exactly this moment. Israel wakes up this morning without an offensive air force. Washington wakes up this morning without a clear military option that doesn't carry catastrophic escalation risk. And Tehran wakes up this morning having demonstrated to every government on earth that genuine strategic self-reliance is not just a moral aspiration, it is a military capability. And last night, it worked. The next question, the one that will define the next chapter of this conflict, is whether anyone on the other side of this equation has the strategic wisdom to recognize that the old playbook is finished and that the only path to a stable regional order runs through negotiation with an Iran that has now proved, beyond any reasonable argument, that it cannot be coerced into submission. That question does not have a comfortable answer, but it is the right question, and this channel will be here to analyze every development as the answer takes shape. What is your assessment? Can Israel reconstitute its air power fast enough to matter? Does Washington have a realistic military option? Or has Iran just permanently altered the balance in ways that no resupply operation can reverse? Leave your analysis in the comments. Share this video with anyone who is serious about understanding what is actually unfolding. Hit like, subscribe, and stay with US Command Instinct, where the analysis goes deeper than anywhere else. Until the next update, stay sharp.
I appreciate everybody for tuning in today. Hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button, indulging in the content. Please do. What we just watched is what happened yesterday night. You know, Iran and them, they're like a day ahead of us. So what unfolded there last night would be like our tomorrow, right? But Iran unleashed a devastating attack upon Israel. It gave Israel one of its own ass whoopings. It decimated the situation that was blocking their sovereignty, their freedom, their justice, their equality. I told you people. I was saying that. What does a nation do when they protect their sovereignty? Where's everybody else at when these people need worldwide justification for attacking, for retaliating, I mean? When you go into a fight and you just think you got it, it always turns out the wrong way. It turns out a way that you'll never really expect. And that's what happened now. Iran is domination Iran's domination over Israel. This is the dominant. They might not be what you expect as this generalization of a country with generalized war tactics. Iran is rewriting warfare. Hey. Hey, how you doing, Mark? You good? Bye bye, mamacita. Good night. All right, yeah, we're going, bro. Iran is now rewriting warfare of how people perceive war or how people perceive their enemies. No longer can you look at a country and say, oh, they're getting bombed, they're losing. Because you can't look at Iran and say they're losing. Because obviously they're not. And with that, Iran is rewriting warfare. Hey, Michael Lawson, man, thank you for the indulging in the comments. He says Trump is going to have us USA in the worst situation we've been in a long time. Yes, indeed. Trump, but I do believe that Trump is not really trying to get engaged in the war, so to speak. I know, hold on, y'all, hold on. I know you're going to say, but he bombed this facility, he bombed that facility. But let's ask each other, what has that really accomplished? What has Trump did that really accomplished anything or really halted this war on the Iranian side? Nothing. And I believe that Trump doesn't even really want to be in the war. I think because when Trump bombed certain situations, I think it's an unseen entity that is forcing Trump to be in this war. You have to follow the report, the war report, to see what's going on. Let me remind you that in the war report, I said that there were deals on the table, and I liked Trump as a businessman. One of the reasons I voted for him. But when you are a businessman and business deals are falling through your fingers, like the oil deal, the exclusive oil deal with Saudi Arabia, somehow, some way, America did not renegotiate or reinitiate that deal. This has been a deal since 1953 that people buy Arabian oil, Saudi oil, in American dollars. That means everybody in the world had to get their hands on American dollars. Why? In order to buy oil. But Trump didn't renegotiate that deal. He didn't reinitiate that deal. He didn't redirect that. What he did was redirect that deal. That deal went to China. Now, everybody that wants to buy Arabian oil has to buy it in the yuan, the yin, the yang, whatever. I don't know what the Chinese money is. But now everybody in the world is going to have to trade with China to get Chinese money in order to buy oil. That was the first deal that I couldn't believe. Second is when he lost that deal, he thought he was going to be able to pull the American bully card again. We go over here, kidnap Maduro, take this oil from this oil tankers, let them know we serious, and we going to run the new program. No, it didn't happen. Somebody is playing in the background, making Trump fuck up these deals. Somebody did not advise Trump well on losing the deal since 1953. Someone also did the wrong analyzing. He had the wrong anal- analytical person analyzing what can be done once he takes Maduro. Obviously, he thought that the country was going to fall, go into chaos. He was going to be able to come in, take control of the oil. Somebody advised him the wrong way on that. And now someone told him, oh yeah, you need to get in this war because Iranians said death to America for over 50 years. So fucking what? So what? So yes, Trump is putting America back into that Middle Eastern category. Death to America. But people are waking up though. And who is that said that? Lawrence? Michael Lawson? But people are waking up now. They are realizing these are governments making these plays and these outcomes for us. These are governments creating this hatred that we have beyond borders and across the pond. These are governments that are doing this to us. It is not the people. So people are starting to wake up and starting to see that, you know what? Americans might be cool, but their government is not. It says, Michael says again, suckers always underestimated Muslim brothers. He's a fake and show off loose brothers. New era, new war, not World War II. Oh, 1978 New York mentality, and it's not working. Yeah, I think you're talking about like what Trump did. Yeah, it's not working. And the people that were backing him and getting him to accept this narrative and accept this agenda already knew that old way wasn't gonna fly. Just like you upgrade on technological things, technology, people upgrade their mind. So, you know, things, they may seem the same, but they're not. Trump already lost this one. Trump already lost this one. He lost this one and he exposed his loss by when he bombed the nuclear reactors and, you know, all of this and bombed their Navy and came on TV and said that I did this, I killed all of these people, they're gonna renegotiate a deal. Once everybody found out that was fabrication and fake news, he lost the war right there. Because what happened next? Next exposed Trump's deepest lie, that Iran ain't shit. And last night, Iran did its big one. Pause. Iran showed out last night on Israel. So also what I like to do, I like to put in a little more content on this though, man, and play this next one for y'all so you can see, you know, also what's going on. You know, this is your boy Pharaoh the God. I got 5 Let's Talk. As always, we keep it litty like a baby on a thick bitch titty. We California Bears, not California Raisins. We ain't doing no hating. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell another motherfucking friend. Share, like, and subscribe. Don't hide. You know, a lot of us, we gotta waken up. We gotta see things differently with what's going on with this war. And like I said, I advise y'all also to go check out the War Report, Africa versus France, Burkina Faso edition. Because I believe that this war is a smokescreen for what's taking place on the continent of Africa. You know, gold and diamonds and oil is the most important things in the world. But now the Africans have taken back their gold. Now the Africans have taken back their economy, their diamonds. In Africa, there has been an assassination attempts, over 30 assassination attempts on one man, Ibrahim Traore. Let's run this content though, man. And for all y'all, man, for rocking with me, Michael Lowry, Lawson, man, I appreciate it, man. Y'all hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, man. Tell a friend and tell a friend, man. This page will never be monetized, man. I don't have it in me to go against and tell lies. And even if it's not my caliber of information, we're still gonna dissect it and give my assessment on it. Because all we've been having is the media outlook on everything. How does the media and the government perceive this? We need to start understanding and perceiving things from a different angle. Why? Because it affects us. It affects us. Let's run this content.
Jerusalem, the holiest city on earth. Last night at approximately 11:47 p.m. local time, air raid sirens erupted across Jerusalem, the holiest city on earth, to three major religions. What happened next was not a routine Hamas rocket barrage. It was a coordinated ballistic missile storm that forced over 900,000 Israeli civilians into bomb shelters simultaneously. Iran launched what the IRGC is calling Wave 32 of Operation True Promise 4, and this time they aimed directly at the symbolic heart of Israel. Over 180 medium and long-range ballistic missiles screamed through the night sky toward Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and central Israel. Israel's $18 billion multi-layered air defense network engaged immediately. Arrow 3 interceptors worth $3 million each fired upward. David's sling batteries lit up the darkness. Iron Dome systems across the region went into overdrive. And then, the question everyone is asking right now, did the defenses work? Or did Iran just prove it has more missiles than Israel has ways to stop them? Both answers are terrifying. Over the next 12 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what happened during the largest single-night ballistic missile attack on Jerusalem in modern history. I'll break down the two nightmare scenarios Israel is facing right now. Either its most advanced interceptor systems are failing under pressure, or they're working perfectly. But Iran's missile stockpile is so deep that it doesn't matter. I'll show you the real cost math that mainstream media refuses to calculate. I'll reveal what satellite imagery is showing about impact zones that Israeli authorities have sealed off. And I'll explain why March 31st, 2026 might be remembered as the night the Middle East's military balance shifted permanently. Before we continue, this is information governments don't want analyzed this clearly. Share this video, hit subscribe, so you don't miss what comes next. Now let's get into it. Here's what we know happened between 11:47 p.m. on March 31st and 3:15 a.m. on April 1st. Iranian IRGC aerospace forces launched a coordinated saturation strike designated as Wave 32. The missile types identified
The reason why I want to hit your comment real quick, Michael. The reason why Gaza went through so much more is because you were dealing with people with no morale, no principle, no true concept of religion and spirit. We are fighting against the Zionists. Let's get this clear. This is not the Jews. These are the Zionists. These are the people that are bent on evil and destruction. This is their religion. This is what they believe in. You've never seen Muslims just slaughter kids, slaughter unarmed men and women and children. You've never seen this happen. Never. So now you might ask yourself, well, why Iran ain't doing them the way that, they did Gaza? Because for one, you dealing with evil spirits and evil humans. And evil mankind. And you dealing with people that's good behavior. You got to understand that. You got to understand the two type of entities that we are dealing with here. One entity is bent on evil. One entity, the other entity, is bent on with some type of principle and morale.
Include K-bar, Shekin medium-range ballistic missiles, upgraded Sejil-2 systems with reported terminal guidance capabilities, and at least a dozen Khorramshahr-4 heavy payload platforms. These are not crude Katyusha rockets fired from pickup trucks. These are precision-guided ballistic missiles with ranges exceeding 1,450 kilometers, traveling at speeds between Mach 7 and Mach 10 during terminal approach, and carrying warheads of 550 to 1,500 kilograms of high explosive each. The launch detection came from U.S. Space Force early warning satellites positioned over the Middle East. Within 90 seconds, Israeli Home Front Command activated nationwide alerts. Sirens blared from Jerusalem to Haifa, from Tel Aviv to Beersheba. The entire country went into lockdown mode, and then the interceptors launched. Israel's defense architecture engaged in 3 layers. Iron Dome batteries handled short-range threats and debris. David's Sling targeted medium-range missiles. And Arrow 3, Israel's exo-atmospheric interceptor system, fired its $3 million missiles at ballistic threats still climbing toward space. Here's the number that should terrify every Israeli military planner. Each Iranian K-bar Shikan missile costs approximately $200,000 to manufacture. Each Arrow 3 interceptor costs $3 million. That's a 15-to-1 cost ratio in Iran's favor. If Israel fired 60 Arrow 3 interceptors last night, that's $180 million spent defending against a $36 million Iranian attack. But it gets worse. Arrow 3 interceptors are not manufactured quickly. Israel's production capacity, even with American support, is estimated at 10 to 15 interceptors per month. Iran, according to the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio's own testimony, produces approximately 100 ballistic missiles per month. Read that again. 100 missiles produced versus 10 interceptors produced every single month. This is not a sustainable equation. This is a math problem Israel cannot solve with technology alone. Israeli authorities have confirmed that most missiles were intercepted, but they've also sealed off at least 3 impact zones in central Israel and refused media access. Satellite imagery from commercial providers shows fresh crater patterns in open areas northeast of Jerusalem. Unverified videos circulating on social media show what appears to be warhead debris in residential neighborhoods. And here's what makes this significant. During past conflicts, Israel quickly published damage assessments to demonstrate defensive success. This time, 36 hours after the attack, no comprehensive damage report has been released. That pattern mirrors what happened in June 2025 when Iranian missiles struck near Netanyahu's office complex and the information was suppressed for 2 weeks. The question isn't whether some missiles were intercepted. The question is, how many got through, and why is that number?
Yes, and why is that number being hidden? Because they don't want you to believe that Iran is able to kill Israel. They don't want you to believe that. They don't want you to see that Israel ran all this tough talk but can't defend itself. This is the country of where all these Zionist billionaires, trillionaires, and people of worldly wealth, this is what they tried to create. And it's being decimated. They run the media. They run the newspapers. They run the social media. Do you think it is wise that they tell the world after they started a war that they're getting their ass kicked? They're actually getting pulverized. They're actually getting fucked up. Do you think that they want the world to know that? Because if our country, our state cannot defend itself and we get dominated through the state, and Israel is decimated until no Zionists are left, history will repeat itself. These type of people will be kicked out of another country. And I'm not saying the Jews, I'm saying the Zionists. That's who is doing this.
We're being hidden. Let me give you numbers mainstream media is burying. Over 900,000 Israeli civilians spent between 4 and 6 hours in bomb shelters last night. That's not minutes. That's half the night underground. Hospitals across Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and Haifa reported treating 47 people for acute anxiety attacks, including 12 children under the age of 10. Schools remained closed for the 3rd consecutive day. Ben Gurion Airport suspended all flights for 8 hours during the peak attack window. The Israeli economy lost an estimated $340 million in a single night from halted commerce, canceled flights, and defensive operations. But the psychological damage cannot be measured in dollars. Videos from shelter cameras show families holding each other, children crying, elderly people unable to physically descend stairs fast enough. This is the human dimension of saturation warfare, and it's exactly what Iran intended. Because even if every missile is intercepted, the terror achieved is strategic victory. Now expand that beyond Israel's borders. Jordan scrambled F-16 fighters to intercept missiles crossing its airspace toward Jerusalem. Saudi Arabia quietly activated its Patriot batteries along its northern border, not to defend Israel, but to protect itself from potential Iranian miscalculation. The United Arab Emirates placed its military on heightened alert. Every regional power is now recalculating what Iran's missile capability means for their own security. If 180 missiles can be launched at Jerusalem in one night, what stops Iran from launching 180 at Riyadh next week? The answer is nothing, and Gulf monarchies know it.
Exactly. Listen to what he just said. 180 missiles in one night fired at Israel. Acute anxiety, depression. This is the psychological warfare that they are enacting upon Israel. You will begin to see, guaranteed, you will begin to see slow regime change in Israel. I guarantee it. I guarantee the regime is going to start changing slowly but surely. Why? Because the civilians are taking the grunt of everything. It's the civilians, not nobody else.
This brings us to the core dilemma that's keeping Israeli defense officials awake right now. There are only two explanations for what happened last night, and both are catastrophic. Scenario 1, Arrow 3 and David's sling systems are failing at higher rates than publicly acknowledged. If Israel's most advanced interceptors, or the systems that are supposed to provide near total protection against ballistic missiles, are only achieving 80% or 75% or even 70% success rates under saturation conditions, then the entire defensive strategy collapses. A 20% leakage rate against 180 missiles means 36 warheads reaching their targets. In densely populated areas like Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, 36 unintercepted missiles carrying 550 kilograms of explosive each would cause catastrophic casualties and infrastructure damage. If this is true, Israel's $18 billion defense investment has a fundamental vulnerability that Iran has learned to exploit. Scenario 2, the defense systems are working exactly as designed, achieving 85 to 90% interception rates. But Iran's missile arsenal is so large that it doesn't matter. If Iran can launch 180 missiles in a single night and is producing 100 new missiles every month, while Israel produces only 10 interceptors per month, the timeline to Israeli interceptor depletion is mathematically certain. Reports from June 2025 indicated Israel had already burned through a quarter of its Arrow inventory during the 12-day war. Now, 10 months later, facing sustained Iranian operations, the stockpile is shrinking faster than it can be replenished. This scenario is actually worse than Scenario 1, because if the systems work but the ammunition runs out, Israel faces a choice: stop intercepting and accept impact damage, or keep intercepting and run out of defenses entirely within weeks. Neither option is survivable. Let me show you why last night was not just another missile barrage. During the 2006 Lebanon War, Hezbollah fired approximately 4,000 rockets at Israel over 34 days. That's an average of 117 per day. And most were unguided Katyushas with ranges under 40 kilometers. During the 2014 Gaza conflict, Hamas launched roughly 4,500 rockets over 50 days, averaging 90 per day. Again, mostly short-range systems that Iron Dome handled with 90% efficiency. But last night, Iran fired 180 precision-guided ballistic missiles in under 4 hours. Not rockets, missiles. With terminal guidance, maneuverable warheads, and ranges exceeding 100 kilometers. The volume, sophistication, and concentration of firepower represents a quantum leap in Iran's offensive capability. And here's the technological dimension that changes everything. The K-bar-Shekhan missiles used last night feature what Iranian sources call active radar seekers in their terminal phase. That means the warhead isn't just following a ballistic arc. It's actively adjusting its trajectory in the final 15 seconds of flight to defeat point defense systems. Israeli Arrow 3 interceptors were designed in the 2010s to counter threats from that era. Iranian missiles in 2026 have evolved specifically to defeat those exact systems. It's an arms race, and the attacker currently has the edge because evolution in offensive missiles is faster and cheaper than evolution in defensive interceptors. And here's why targeting Jerusalem specifically changes everything. This wasn't just a military strike. This was a symbolic message. Jerusalem is sacred to Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. It's the diplomatic capital Israel claims as eternal and undivided. By launching 180 missiles at Jerusalem, Iran is sending a message that no location, no matter how politically or religiously significant, is off limits. The Western Wall, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, all within the potential impact radius of last night's barrage. If even one missile had struck a major religious site, the regional conflict would have instantly transformed into a civilizational crisis with global religious implications. Iran knows this. Israel knows.
Hey, I see you, RT. I see the comment. I see what you're saying, but it makes no sense. Iran is toast. If Iran is toast, this war would have been over with. If Iran is really toast, and America and Israel is not readjusting its war tactics, its war analogy, and how they handle Iran and futuristically looking and how they will futuristically handle Iran is a big deal. It's a monkey wrench in the game. This is something that you're not ready for. You're not ready to believe that Iran is a big dog. You're not ready to focus on that, to recognize and accept that. That means you still have that Zionist pigmentationalized thinking. And it's okay. It's okay, little bro. Why? Because a lot of people were under that tutelage. A lot of people were under that banner. Iran ain't no big bad place like that. They bad, but they ain't big and bad to go and get. And I was one of them. I think they had a trick up their sleeve, but they sure in the fuck surprised me with how long this war has been going on in their favor. And mind you, since Iran is toast, Iran was attacked first. Iran was attacked again. And their nuclear power plants, Navy, other shit was supposed to be decimated. But yet Iran still fights. And last night and the night before, well, let's just keep running this content.
This, and the fact that Iran fired anyway means the rules of engagement have fundamentally changed. So where does this go from here? Israel has three options, and all of them lead to worse outcomes. Option 1, acknowledge the interceptor stockpile problem and request emergency U.S. resupply. This reveals strategic weakness and invites further Iranian pressure. Option 2, launch preemptive strikes on Iranian missile production facilities. But those facilities are hardened, dispersed, and defended by Russian-supplied S-400 air defense systems. The strike success rate would be uncertain, and Iranian retaliation would be guaranteed. Option 3, accept a higher missile leakage rate and focus defensive resources on protecting only critical infrastructure. This means accepting civilian casualties in less critical areas, a political impossibility for any Israeli government. None of these options prevent the core problem. Iran can produce missiles faster than Israel can produce interceptors. The math doesn't change, the timeline doesn't improve, and with every passing day, Iran's advantage compounds. 180 missiles in one night. The holiest city on earth under ballistic attack. $180 million spent on defense against a $36 million offensive. Either Israel's systems are failing, or its ammunition is running out. Both scenarios end the same way. Share this video to everyone who still thinks missile defense makes Israel invincible. The shield has limits. The limits are being tested right now, and the math is not on Israel's side. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Arrow 3 is failing, or is Iran's arsenal just too large? Let me know, and click the video on screen to see what happens next in this war. I'll see you soon.
Tonight, the unthinkable happened.
Y'all know what it is, man. What we gonna do? We gonna run some other content. Watch what you.
It's a layered campaign which began for decades. Iran has been preparing for something like this. Always with eyes turned toward Israel and the US, it has been building air defenses and creating a military that was supposed to counter what? Iran failed. The US did something so massive to Iran that it will go down in history. The 10,000th target has just been hit, and Iran has practically nothing left standing. On March 25th, US Central Command, or CENTCOM Commander, Admiral Brad Cooper, delivered his newest breakdown of everything the US has achieved during Operation Epic Fury so far.
I see you, user. I see you, GB chatter. RT says okay, we dealt with that. Some people keep believing in Trump's lies. Yes, that's because the media is structured like that. You have no true independent news reporter no more. These people are actually out here being funded by the opposition. These people are actually out here taking bribes to report bullshit news. That's what it is. It's not me. That's just what happens. You feel me? It says the war was lost the first day by one critical mistake, arrogance. That's right, GB chatter. The arrogance is what caused them to be amongst the losers like they are right now. So let's run this content though, man. This is some content saying America did something to Iran. Let's watch this, man, and let's talk about it.
The headline was also one of the first things out of Cooper's mouth as he proclaimed, "We're in the 4th week of the campaign and remain on plan, or ahead of plan, in achieving very clear military objectives for eliminating Iran's ability to project power in meaningful ways outside its borders," Cooper began. He then delivered the number, stating, "US forces have struck more than 10,000 military targets. In fact, we hit the 10,000th Iranian target just hours ago." Now, Cooper went on to explain that 10,000 is America's number. When you add Israel and its airstrikes into the mix, several thousand more targets have been hit. Many thousands more, in fact.
If you got hit, even if you...
On March 13th, the Wall Street Journal reported that US Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, had claimed that the US and Israel had combined to strike 15,000 targets, which was over 1,000 targets per day at the time of the statement. The sheer scale and ferocity of Operation Epic Fury and Operation Roaring Lion have wound down somewhat since that announcement, likely due to Iran having fewer military targets to strike. But given that 15,000 was the joint number before Cooper made his statements, it's not inconceivable to believe that the US and Israel have combined to hit somewhere close to 20,000 targets since February 28th. But even taken alone, 10,000 targets struck by the US is massive news. And to clarify, these are 10,000 targets, not 10,000 munitions fired. Those targets will be varied from the massive, such as Iran's underground military and nuclear bunkers.
Must you remind yourself, though, these 10,000 targets have not slowed down Iran not one bit. In fact, it looks like as if these 10,000 targets only pissed off Iran. And it looks like it made it worse for Israel. But let's continue.
To comparatively small targets, such as drones. Each is an individual weapon or military node that has gone down, with the largest targets likely to have been struck with multiple munitions, perhaps even repeatedly over days to take them out of commission. And what we're seeing here is a level of aerial dominance that hasn't been achieved in any other modern war. America's layered campaign, which began with strikes conducted by stealthy airframes, such as the B-2 Spirit and F-35, before evolving to incorporate airframes as old as the B-52 and A-10, has shown us that the US can operate with impunity in Iran's skies. Now, that may not mean that Operation Epic Fury is coming. US can operate with impunity in Iran's skies. Now, that may not mean that Operation Epic Fury is coming to a close. What comes next could change everything all over again, and will catch everyone off guard if the US follows up with its threats. But for now, it's enough to know that so much of Iran's military infrastructure has been obliterated as the US plots a course for its next move. And according...
So if Iran's military has been obliterated, why is this war still going on? If Iran has been getting fucked up by America and Israel, why is this war still going on? Like, these are the lies that I have a problem with. It just doesn't make common sense. You're telling me you're doing all of this, and this country right here is still defending itself? Obviously, you're not doing your job, America. But let's continue with the lies.
To several in the US, Iran is now desperate to achieve some sort of end to Operation Epic Fury. US President Donald Trump claims that Iran is begging to reach a deal, and the US has responded by delivering a 15-point plan that could make that deal happen. Iran has...
Yeah, this is old, man. I thought this was something new. This is definitely old. Because we already know they rejected the 15-point program and everything. We already know that. We already know Israel and America are in cahoots of, you know, trying to take Iran out. It's not our fault. That's old news. So that don't even matter no more. We already seen what Iran has and is doing to Israel. It's fucking them over. User, I know you wish you can believe that the USA is winning this war. I know you wish you could believe that. I know you want to believe that. Good night, Dookie Dukes. I love you. I know you don't even believe that. Everybody that you know that calls itself American and all, they would want to believe that America is winning the war. But how is America still in this war with this little bullshit country that's had tariffs and blockades on them for over 50 years? If America can't take this country out, this is what you people got to realize. If America cannot take this country out, if American weaponry cannot take this country out, if Israel cannot take this country out and hasn't done it yet, it should redesign how we believe America tells about winning wars. I think we should question America on their veribility, if it's verifiable. Because we are watching a war right now that America and Israel, if you are paying attention, is losing. Now, you probably wouldn't want to believe that, but these are two countries that have no restrictions, get everything they want, have some of the best weapons money can offer. They killing the right people, but they just not winning the war. Well, what did you mean, user? Because you says USA, we are winning. We are winning. Oh, okay. Sarcasm. Okay. Yeah, my apologies. But just to those that had that agenda, that type of mindset of that. You know, those that love to believe, oh yeah, America is winning. How? Ask yourself, how? Where are they winning? Ask yourself that. Because from what I see, I don't see America winning. I see America getting fucked over. Iran's dominance, it should be the other way around. Israel's dominance. Iran is showing the conventional warfare is over with. That shit gone. Let me know, do y'all think that Israel and America is going to strike a deal that they're going to be the ones asking Iran to come back to the table and talk? Do y'all think Israel will be able? Because I don't think Iran is ready for no deal from Israel. They want them off the table. I believe Iran wants Israel off the table. And I don't believe the state, the country. I just believe that they want that regime to be gone. It's the same thing. The Jews and the Americans, they want the Iranian regime to change. And I think it's the same thing for the Iranians. They want the Zionistic regime out of there. And I think it's causing the people of not just Israel, but of Iran as well, I think it's costing them people a whole lot. And the regime change is going to come. Why? Because people are tired of getting killed. These civilians are getting tired of that. These civilians are tired of having to put up with somebody that they put in the office that's not doing what they asked them to do. That's putting their life in jeopardy. That's why I don't believe this. I don't believe Israel's gonna win. But let me know what y'all think. Do y'all see Israel winning? Do y'all see America getting further and deeper into this war? Because what we are seeing from Iran, we are seeing Iran, like they said, or alluded to, that they are hitting Israel with everything old that they have. They're hitting them with the old technology, the old missiles. They said they're not even hitting them with nothing new. Makes you wonder, is Iran telling the truth or America telling the truth? Because Iran is bombarding the shit out of Israel with bombs and missiles. Bombarding them. Israel says they have better defense and all that, and that is not what we are seeing right now. We are not seeing that. Sorry, but not sorry. We are not seeing that. And this is all to Israel and America's fault for attacking that country, man. Ain't nobody tell y'all to do that shit. But y'all wanted to do it, right? Look where it got you. What Biggie Smalls say, look what that slick shit got you. Look what that slick shit got you. Ain't get you nowhere. No. I get you now, user, man. You know what I'm saying? I was in my mode, bro. I was in my mode, and I thought you was, you know what I'm saying, holding on to, you know, that type of narrative, that type of outlook, agenda, you know. Because I know how people be, man. I love America, but I'm no fool. I'm no fool. I love America, but I know when somebody lying to me. Just like I know a cokehead when I see one. It's just like automatic. But I do appreciate you for clarifying that, and you know what I'm saying, also, you know, correcting me on what you were saying, man. I'm always open to correction, to contemplation, conversation, and compromisation, man. I'm always open to dialogue. That's why it's called I Got Five, Let's Talk. We can burn one, burn some, man, and we could talk about it. But what we need to do is force this conversation of concept. What is the concept for future America? And what is the original American dream? Like people say, oh, I want generational wealth. I want this, I want that. But forget about the original American dream. The original American dream didn't go buy Gucci. They didn't go get name brand nothing. You want cream of wheat? Bitch, eat malto meal. You want red beans and rice? Get it out the can. Like you want cereal? Here goes snowflakes. Fuck Frosted Flakes. You want Fruit Loops? Bitch got Loop Fruits. That's the American dream. Shunning the name brand. Saving. Having a futuristical outlook for livelihood, sovereignty, freedom, justice, equality. This was the American dream. How did we lose sight of the American dream? The American government told you to believe in name brands. That this is wealth. Wealth is you spending your money. Wealth is buying shit that, you feel me, is not gonna last. That became the American dream. But the original American dream, hey, keep it key. The original American dream was not about, you looking for Ken? No. Or moms? If you want the American dream is not buying that fresh car. The American dream is not following the Joneses. The American dream is doing what you need to do to get what you need. How do you expect to get rich, but you always spending like you rich when you broke? That's the American dream. Realizing that I'm about to spend like I'm rich when I'm broke. That's the American dream. Realizing, using your common sense. That's the American dream. But we forgot about it though. We lost sight of that. That's what we lost sight of. A lot of people don't want to accept that. But again, man, this is a war that Israel started, America started. And they can say what they want to, man. They can make it up to be whatever it is they want to. But guess what? We know the truth and we know what's really happening. I appreciate all y'all, man, that tuned in tonight, man. All y'all that are not subscribed, man, and you know, you want to hear about the war report, man, tune in, man. Tap in, subscribe. Hit that notification button, man. Let me ring your bell. Pause, no diddy. Every time I go live, man, you will get hit up, no jive. We trying to bring about a different understanding and we trying to have an open communication and an open dialogue of what's affecting us as Americans, humans, and mankind. We need dialogue. We need to diminish the fake news, the fake narratives. We need to get rid of them. We need to. Because if we don't, we are going to continue and continue and continue to be dominated by these type of people. Real talk. Real talk.
You wouldn't trust me. If I ain't had these chains on, you wouldn't fuck with me. They say I'm introverted, I don't fuck with nobody. If you like it, I love it, I feel more comfortable around me. Got too big with them hollows and crazy.
Banana bread? Okay.
Listen to same brother, but I don't say that. Chatty patty about other niggas ain't my get down. I'd rather pop pills and talk to my conscience. Buy guns to make me think I'm playing conscious. Stupid face, I'm Pendo, fentanyl. Send the bread in a P.O. box, I'm selling. There go 22 numbers, track the package, then subtract mine. Don't use that phone, call the other one, I stay online. This was like that, we up, you drunk off mad dog. Around old niggas saying if I had drugs, I'd cut mine off. Minor setback for the big show, I ain't gon' lie. Probably go broke and bounce back like 8 more times. I never took that bitch, can't say you helped me get mine. The parachute and the backup, I cut both lines. But Square makes friends on the streets, you know he did time. God, but I woke up sinning. Never seen you. Some shit you just can't let go. I'll take care of food, baby. Still slobbing, dirty mess. 3 a.m. and I'm about to blow a cookie bag down. If I had drugs, I'd cut my losses. I'm trying to win. Don't fuck with these niggas like rattlesnakes and pork rinds. House around the grimiest of the grind. Slide with the slimiest of the slime. You can see the Dodger hat in the dreadlocks. Look at the king. It's a Harlem night, then I'm fresh to red spot. Breezing the piranha, close my eyes to see the fish. Deep dish the regals. Don't worry, it's all legal. Shower shooting the day room. Protocol. The slide out like Tom Cruise. Program. Ain't see nothing but what you knew. Real 80s baby. I wasn't born in 92. I need something down the way. Flatline in the street. Hit him at the weapon under his feet. One round. Flash, flash, shots you make a man. Under pressure, watch up, snapping.
Man, y'all please join me, man, on the podcast platform known as I Got 5 Let's Talk. Well, we keep it fair like a California bear. We ain't California raisins. We ain't doing no hating, man. Please check out some of my old content. I do appreciate the help, the support. I'm not monetized, nor like I always say, nor will I ever be monetized, man. I'm not with the bullshit agenda. I have gang of great content. Make sure y'all check it out, man. Like I always say, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell another friend, man. I'm gonna leave it open, man, for about a good 30 minutes. Ask questions, man. You know, anything y'all want my assessment on, anything you want me to talk about or give my opinion on, man, please put it in the comments, man. We here, and I like to hear from y'all, man. So put it in the comments, man. Let me know what's going on. Put it in the comments.
How many beans do I pop till I get to them 3 little pig tops? Blow that bitch down when I get there. Blow the whole pound when I get there. Bottom bin fell out, ain't no sleeping here. Steve Urkel, watch me geeking here. Thought I was already up there, but I'm way up there and I'm stuck there. How many beans do I pop till I get to them 3 little pigs house? I'ma blow that bitch down when I get there. Blow the whole pound when I get there. Bottom bin fell out, ain't no sleeping here. Steve Urkel, watch me geeking here. Sweating, but somehow I'm stuck in here. Oh my God, thought I was out of here. I can feel my heart beating, the bass in here. Hot, stripped down to my underwear. Get the robot, he looks so serious. Herman, he really get it. How many grams I'ma blow till I get to the yellow brick road? We just tryna go see the wizard. Locks in the air like Rapunzel. I need a box of cigarillos. Roll till my thumb sore. Burritos. Anybody seen that blue dolphin I was on? Daylight, high beams, MDMA, Twilight. Manny Fresh, get your roll on. Stuck in Debo chicken coop on the Wawa. Could nobody get me out but my mama. Hardy, hard, very funny. Light years hard, way more hard, way more hard, Sam. Thank you, Bubba. He used to have a lot of accident. Kobe Bryant at the stables, I'm a ball on that ass. 1-year-old baby, creeping crawl on that ass. Got a cold booger swole up and froze on that ass. Gorilla, man, that young nigga, 8 and a half. At the car wash, they never seen a hog in a bath. 5 chains, big boogers blank, I'm making them mad. Intersection with that Hercules pose on that ass. Water on the street, on my tippy toes on that ass. Compton, grab some chips, I bust a spread on that ass. Got them 26s whipping like a slave on that ass. Disrespectful boy, misbehave on that ass. Grab that tree trunk and wave on that ass. Big took in the garage, don't get swollen on that ass. Heavy starch crease stuff and fold on that ass. Fish telling sideways, throwing rocks at their ass. Gorilla beating on a midget in the trunk on their ass. Purple bag, Junior say I put the straps on me. Chiquita banana with straps on me. Crutch got me off balance like I'm drunk on that ass. Slide off in that black mama, dunk on that ass. Quick shave, hit him with 30 pounds of bunk on that ass. Pressure, wave the flag, or say bunk on that ass. Leave you with some hematomas or some lumps on that ass. Dum-dums in that ride pump, brick on that ass. Old game, but this lame think he's slick on that ass.
Man, how do y'all feel about what's going on, man? Share your content, share your feelings, man. Let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about it.
An incarcerated individual left the California State Prison, Los Angeles County, Lancaster, California. This call and/or telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged. Thank you for using Global Link.
Hello? What up, 49? Nigga, nothing. About to finish this live, man. Finish this war report for the day. Hop off this live, man.
Are you on live right now?
Yeah, I'm about to get off though. I'm just waiting for the comments to come in, man. See if anybody want to comment, talk about it before I jump off. You know what I'm saying?
No, everything.
Make sure y'all go hit up that Razi Bugatti too, man. That's RASSYBUGATTI. Razi Bugatti on all platforms, man. My boy got new music. And as a matter of fact, you go ahead and do that, Rozzy, man. Talk to him.
Oh, man, y'all know what it is, man. It's Bugatti, man. We in this bitch, man, getting real inky, man. I was just in the tattoo shop, but we trying to see what's going on with these wars and everything, man. Go slap that new music that's coming out on the night, man, April 9th or April 10th, man. I got something for y'all. Y'all go stream that Rozzy Bugatti on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube, you dig?
Make sure y'all hit that up, man. That's Cuzzo, man. Y'all already know, man. One of the founder members of the Stink Team, man. I don't know, man. You know what I'm thinking about doing right now, man? You know,
Okay.
you know they you know I had to do the thing about the boy Protect Flacco, you know, speaking about the Draco situation, man.
Yeah. Flacco who?
Protect Flacco, the fat boy.
The Tech Flacco. Oh, yeah, what happened with him?
Basically, that nigga dry snitching, saying that it's a LA rapper that need to go to jail behind it, and if the LAPD don't do nothing, he gonna drop the evidence. Some police shit.
For who?
I guess
Draco?
for whoever killed Draco.
Man, niggas is crazy.
YouTubers getting out of line,
What
man.
that man talking about?
These YouTubers be getting out of line, man. These niggas need to do their own fucking job, man. You feel me?
Hey, man, yeah. Let them police do their job, man.
For real, man.
That's my
Nigga
brother,
doing-
but y'all got a young man. We from the street, man. We can't, you know what I'm saying? Different type of angle.
Man, for real. Say it again.
Different type of angle, man. You know what I'm saying? Deeper than rap.
Deeper than rap, man. Y'all know what it is, man. It's your boy Pharaoh the God, man. I ain't gonna let y'all nigga, you know what I'm saying, in on the whole conversation I have with my cousin, man. Y'all not talking, man. So it's time for me to get to walking. I appreciate everybody that came through, man. All y'all that indulged in the comments, man. Hit that like button, man, because it didn't cost you nothing. I salute y'all. I appreciate y'all, man. Be a returning flavor, man, not a hater, man. You know what I'm saying? Come and check your boy out. Support the platform. Support the movement. And above all, man, support your motherfucking guy, man. With that being said, y'all know the motto. Take care of each other. And if you can't do that, take care of your motherfucking self. Anything you want to say before I get up out of here, Rozzy?
Yeah. Oh, man, you know, we coming, man. We coming soon, man. Hey, man. Tell them about MK music coming soon, too, man. You know what I'm saying? Y'all stream that Bugatti shit coming soon, too. April 9th or April 10th. Be ready.
Yeah, I was just playing some of that MK, man. Some of that Delord Da Vinci, man. Make sure y'all go check that out. That's Delord Da Vinci. DALORD Da Vinci. DEVINCHY, man. That's the God. We out. Thank y'all for tuning in.